good. Can't complain. Exhausted though, but all in all, good.
That's good. It's recording. I can close this. It is. Okay, I'm leaving from the laptop. Okay, my sister's crazy. Sorry about that. No. Go. Chap. No. We are not negotiating this. Go. Finally. Okay, I think we can start.
All right. I am ready.
So,
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I am good. I can't complain.
I'm learning this Zoom thing. I'm trying to. I'm learning. This Zoom thing. It's always easier when someone else is sharing and be like, join. But now when you're the one doing it, you're like, hi, it's complicated.
I feel you.
Okay, but I think now it's good enough to go.
You're getting the hang of it. You're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good to go. So we were to be joined by Steve. He's not yet here. Like here online. Sounds so weird to say here. So I'm hoping by the time we kickstart a bit atakuwa amefika, so that we can do this together. But maybe for a start, what's really happened is, like I had said earlier, we did the Instagram live, and I was hoping somehow it will record, but also I didn't know like a lot of people really wanted to have or to share it with friends and something like this, so it really made sense. So I was being asked, can you share the link so that we can download the video, or maybe we can just or even on YouTube, but I couldn't because nilisha could track down. I think Instagram didn't save it on the archive, so it got so nice.
I feel you. No worries.
Yes.
We are here. Hopefully this time we are a bit more politically correct. I hope so. I am not sure. I have never been on the limelight in case this goes viral. So I hope my words are in order.
Okay. You're good to go. So maybe for a start, I'd request you introduce yourself. Then we start it off.
Okay. Now do you want me to start? So okay, cool. I got this. All right. So guys, welcome to my YouTube channel.
You're crazy, but I like that.
I'm kidding. So my name is George Elikunda. But most of my friends just call me Elikunda or Eli. And I'm an entrepreneur, financial consultant by profession. No, economist by profession, and financial consultancy. I also do financial consultancy on the side. But largely I have a passion for, building and changing Africa, and it all starts with, just helping, growing businesses and finding needs and solutions and providing and helping Africa grow to the next level, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's what I can. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
Okay. Karibu sana. How come I keep calling you G?
Funny enough, I don't know. I guess most people tend to gravitate to nicknames and everything. So I don't mind G. G is actually really cool. It sounds solid. It sounds like a superhero type of name. G.
Okay, so guys, what really happened is on last week on Thursday we did Instagram live, and we had Ailey with us, and we had interesting conversations, and a few people really wanted the link. Unfortunately enough, Instagram never saved on our archive, so I couldn't track it back. So we have to do this recording again and talk about it. And it basically we're doing to do with slay queens and real queens. It's such an interesting topic, and what people don't want to talk about, men just want to enjoy the slay queens, and the real queens. As a percentage, I thought about in a small angle. So it's high time we do. And we started by the other time. Remember the quote I was saying? Someone had written that as a woman, if you're smoking and you're drinking, and that guy is okay, then he's not going to marry you. But Ellie was like, yo, it's not possible. So maybe we can start from there. Why do you think that drinking and smoking is not an issue? It's not a slay queen man, it could also be a real woman thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess from my own perspective, I'd say one, I'd like to clarify though, like not drinking entirely, like binge drinking. That one's not that one. Like the whole getting wasted on weekends. If he meant like if he sees you drink, like get drunk, wasted, and you're being carried off, or you're being carried home, or you're black, then that's not acceptable for most. Yeah, I don't think that's okay. But drinking like leisurely, lightly, just like you grab a drink, kidogo kidogo, like a glass of wine or gin or vodka or whiskey. It's like just on certain occasions, or like on certain occasions, and just celebratory. That's okay. Or even like if you're going out with your partner, your significant other, if you guys are going out and you're just having fun together, then personally for me, from my experience, if it's my girlfriend and just feel like you know what, I think like let's have some fun this weekend, by let's just go out, or let's go hang out someplace, and there are drinks there. We might drink, like we might pour down like one or two drinks. Not that we do, but if that were the case, then that would be okay with me, And also smoking, again, like I said, it depends on what they're smoking. And it's tobacco. We all know tobacco is not healthy for you. And if it's like a habitual thing, something habitual, it's probably not good. Not even probably, it's not good, And and there's tobacco so far. I don't think I'm a big fan of smoking tobacco in general.
So basically you're saying it's not an issue if it's occasionally, it's not a situation of addictiveness, like where someone cannot do without it. It's Monday to Monday, then that's an issue.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But me, I tend to think it's not like I'm against any activity. There's no perfection, but I tend to feel like the current world is more like it's fashionable for you to be drinking on like not day to day, but when it's too much, it looks like that's the way to go, and that's really a big deal. I feel like then if you get such, it's not really going to make so much sense.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when the occasion comes up, well, if the need arises, just occasionally, celebratorily or something, it's okay to
Mhm.
drink, knock down one or two shots or like a glass or two. But as long as you don't get wasted, I think. Don't get wasted. Don't be drunk. Don't be the person in the crowd or in the whole room who has to be dragged out or who has to be walked out. Um, to their car or something. You get just
Okay,
um yeah,
interesting.
let's
So
drink,
I can see Steve, karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you.
welcome, Steve.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm okay. I'm perfect.
I know Steve is finding
Awesome.
this conversation weird because Ellie, he is a pastor, so maybe he should introduce himself before we continue. Steve, just an intro before we continue.
I'm Steve Omodex. I'm born again. A senior pastor, Fulham Fellowship Church. I'm married. Yeah.
To one wife or how
Nice.
many?
Of course, one. What do you mean,
Nice.
one?
We should not assume. Declare these things.
No, it's all. It can't be otherwise. How can a pastor have two wives or three or four?
No,
Just
I
one.
want to-
I get you. I feel you.
Those ones you leave for Eric Omondi, not me.
Oh, not you. Anyways, I was just asking Ellie something that I did ask last time. That conversation of if your man allows you to smoke and drink and he's okay, then it means chances are he's not going to marry you. What's your take on the same? Ellie tells me, not necessarily, because there are those days maybe you want to hang out with this person you love, but not frequently, maybe once in a while. So if you try it when you have the person you love, and it's occasionally, then it shouldn't be a hindrance to marry her. But when it's addictive to him, it's a big deal. But now, what's your take on the same?
Oh, I think our inclinations to that is
And let's be real as possible. I know there's Pastor Omodex, but there is the real Omodex. Like,
I would
remember we
also
were
love to hear.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah. We were saying like mwili haiokoki, but people don't talk about this in church. We want just sing and worship, but there are people who are literally going through those things.
well. I think the inclinations of our standings might be different a bit because, first of all, I don't believe in drinking. I've never drunk. Biblically, actually, drinking in the Bible is not restricted. There's no script in the Bible that says that drinking is a sin. However, the act of what the outcome of drinking is what becomes a sin. If you look in the Bible, it's very clear. Wine was used, in different occasions as a healing ointment for anointing the sick and all those kind of stuff. I think maybe to answer the question, I would just say it all depends with an individual. Personally, for me, I wouldn't even think of dating someone who's drinking because I wouldn't entertain that. But you mentioned something that the body never gets born again. It's true, the flesh never gets born again. But when you're born again, your spirit must align your flesh to comply with the spirit. That's why the Bible says we are transformed by the renewal of the mind. It's an internal thing. Change begins internally before it comes externally. So if you're born again and you discipline your spirit, your body will automatically adjust to the same.
Okay, that really makes sense. Wow, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting conversation because I have, can I say, two different worlds in my same conversation. So at least we want, getting to hear what Ellie says and getting to hear what Steve says is just going to be an interesting moment. And this time it's one-on-one. So I really, really appreciate you guys for coming. So another thing is, I would like to ask, how would you differentiate a slay queen and a real queen? what would make you, Ellie, be like, yo, I'll put a ring on this finger because she's a real queen? And what will make you be turned off and be like, no, this one, no?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that hopefully with time I will be able to like finally get to the bottom of it. But I think just like for one, I wouldn't say like I'm very far off from Pastor Steve's line of thought, but I'd say, you know, along the same line. But again, as well for myself, I was raised in a very spiritual household. My parents are staunch Adventists. My grandparents the same way. So I was raised along that, you know, like straight and narrow path of the word and the gospel and everything. And again, one of my mother's favorite quotes to us has always been, you raise a child in the way that he should grow up and he will not depart from it, even when he's old. So for me personally, again, maybe to some extent, I do tend to lean towards, you know, the biblical truths and doctrines and everything. And especially now in this time and age, you know, when, you know, everything is just mainstream. Everything is considered a whole spectrum. There is no definite way. Everyone, you're just told, you know, live your truth, live your life. But personally, for me, what I would say is, at the core of it all, for me to pick, like when I get to that point where I'm finally deciding this is my wife, I definitely say one of the biggest strongholds that for me works is biblically. So that is it Proverbs 31 type of woman per se, if I might say, yeah? That Proverbs 31 woman. And where I draw the line first would have to be that, because if she, for me, again, being, you know, spiritual person, and the Bible does take front line in most of the decisions I make, even when it comes to business and everything. If she is aligned in that whole sense, she's actually, you know, she's a spiritual lady, she reads the Bible, then that means, you know, she uses the Bible as a moral compass, then that is definitely a good point. That's where I think that's where I literally draw the line. You get? That's where I literally draw the line. But if I can't go to church with you, yeah?
If we have a situation where, no, sorry to cut you short, but we have situations where, like, people tend to be what they grew up into. For instance, you'll find someone, a lady who has it all, but they don't have the Christian background. Does that disqualify them? Like, honestly, them, it's sikupenda kwao, ata kwao, Biblia, they don't even know how it looks like. But they have the virtues, they are kind, they take good care of themselves. Does that mean they disqualify from your list? Because it happens. Or is it a situation where I know Pastor Steve will be like, no, don't draw someone to church, get someone in church, because most of the time they'll push you away from church.
Yeah. My mom says the exact same thing.
I can see that. So
my mother says the exact same thing. And to be honest, I can't say I figured it out. Up until this point, I have not figured. That's also a question. Like, if so far, good thing it hasn't popped up yet. I haven't been in that situation. But what I would say is, for me, thus far in my life, following biblical principles, doctrines, even just outside of the whole spiritual aspect of prayer, talking to God, finding that connection, individual connection with God. The Bible does have like proven real life principles that outside of just, you know, building your connection with God, even in, you know, just the normal life, they actually do help you out. Because even in business, you know, there are so many biblical principles in the book of Ecclesiastes and Proverbs that actually help you in business. And I'd say I've used some of them. So to say at the bottom of it all, I mean, I wouldn't say it's not at the definite that I wouldn't pick her, because it also depends on, you know, who she is as a person. You know, outside of not reading the Bible, and maybe the Pasi can help us out over here.
I'm a bit worried. No. I'm a bit worried about Ellie. I just want like top 3 things that would like turn you on. We are being real. Like that will make you feel like, yo, I'll marry you. I understand the biblical aspect, the angle, but you see, we want to help. I want you men to help us see where we are going wrong as women. So if you say it as it is and be like, yo, if there is 1, 2, 3, so that any other woman or any other lady watching would be like, yeah, makes sense. There is this character that looks similar in men, then I should work on this and this and this. So what are your top 3 qualities, Ellie?
Nice. That's top 3. Oof.
Yeah.
Wow. I'd say 1, a lady who is constantly, you know, self-aware. And I mean self-aware in the sense that, you know, she knows who she is as a person. She knows she is grounded in her beliefs and her principles. And granted, they are also like along the same way, they are ethical principles. Yeah. She is grounded in that sense. And not just grounded, but also is constantly in the pursuit of growth, let's say.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Constantly growing. I understand it's being a mom is 24/7, yeah?
Yeah, I'm grilling something, so I just remembered, but it's okay.
I get you. Yeah, so 1, she is grounded. That has to be by far the biggest thing, you know, because if you one of the things I came to learn, you know, growing up is, you know, if you don't stand for anything, you will fall for anything you get.
Yes.
So 1, she has to be grounded. 2, what would be number 2? 1, yeah, she's grounded. 2, in terms of if at all we do come into this relationship, it's not about ego. It's not about ego. It's not about pride. Because at the end of the day, you are an individual on your own, and the same way you have your deeply grounded or deeply founded beliefs. The other person is just the same. They're just some beliefs that they grew up with. They were taught growing up that they hold on to they've held on to for so long. Like these more or less define them, if you can say. And you might find that maybe these beliefs are contradicting. So it has to be just like, and in terms of understanding that, okay, it doesn't always have to be my way yet. It doesn't always have to be my way. Maybe sometimes we're gonna have to figure this thing out together. You get?
Yeah.
And 3, what would it be? I mean, just her mindset. Up here, she is, just a solid individual. You get, like she's strong mentally. She's not the type to just go by.
Swayed.
Yeah, easily swayed. Wherever the tide goes, she's also there. And I think it all still comes back down to being grounded in who you are and having empathy and loving and just being a loving individual. Yeah. Just be grounded and being empathetic. Something like that. Is it empathetic or empathic?
Okay. Steve.
I can't wait to hear Pasi's what. Hey, to scare Sasa.
So, Pasi, tell us, what is that? What are those character or traits that really you thought about Grace and you are like, yo, I have to make her my wife. Come rain, come sunshine, I need this wife in my life.
Am I speaking on my case or on behalf of men?
No, first
Both.
on your case. No, I want to hear your case first before for men.
Eli unachoma.
Sawa.
Well, I think on a bigger spectrum, I echo what Elias said. I mean, every man wants a grounded woman, wants someone who is humble, down to earth, and all that. But I think for me personally, of course, on top of what he has said, I will add my points to that, because I believe no man wants a nagging woman. I mean, no man wants to marry a slave queen unless to ni kijana, you know. Boys marry slave queens, men marry women, you know, marry real queens. So we have to come to a point of also understanding that when I'm looking for a wife, particularly in my case, Eli mentioned a Proverbs 31 woman. First of all, if any man wants to marry a queen, because the Proverbs 31 woman is a queen in all essence, the way she packages herself, the way she wakes up very early, she's an industrious woman, she's a woman of virtue, she's a woman of honor, she's a woman who knows how to take care of her home, you know. No queen lives in the dungeons. Every queen lives in a kingdom. So the man must first of all be able to build a kingdom for this queen to come and fit in. You know, you don't just pick somebody, someone's daughter from a, you know, from a good life, alafu enda kumufinya kwa kabed sita mahali, alafu nasema hii ndio kingdom yangu. You know, I'm not saying it is bad, but it is always good to match expectations of somebody, you know. The other thing is that for every Pro 31 woman that every man wants, I personally believe I made sure that I am an Ephesians chapter 5 man. A Proverbs 31 woman must be married by an Ephesians chapter 5 man.
Okay.
Where it talks about Ephesians 5:25. Husbands must love your wives as Christ loves the church. And every man must defend the wife, must defend them in good and bad times. The way Christ gave up his life for us, we have to stand in the gap for our women. So, because marriage, I shared this before, marriage is not just a game of trial and error. You know, when you get into marriage, you have to make up your mind, this is what you want, because it is not, I'm trying this, and then if it fails, I have to move out. And I always advise people before they get married, when I'm doing counseling for them, is that you have to really think about it and make a solid decision about it, because it's many people and many, when you're talking about slave queens and real queens, majority of the women, whichever category they fall in, they prepare for the wedding but not for the marriage. You know, wedding is a one-day affair and marriage is a lifetime thing. So you find they are all excited about taking selfies on that day, dressing very well, slaying that day, but then you get into the after the ceremony, you realize you have a whole life with this person. You have a whole life to live. So kama ulikuwa mtu umefuga makucha zinakaa kama za Jezebel, itabidi umezikata, you know, kwa sababu every husband will want an industrious woman, you know. And I always say that we don't want, like for me and my wife, we just don't want our marriage to be good. We want it to be God, you know. Good is average. God is above average. And you will never get blessed, even in your union, doing God's things the devil's will. And that is why if I marry a lady who is a drunkard, for example, I am born again. There is no way I'll receive blessings when she's living in sin and I'm living in a righteous life. And you see, the moment you get married, the Bible says two shall become one. So you can imagine you are in a situation that you are contaminated in one or the other. Your principles are differing, your values are differing. So my personal opinion and my personal view when I'm looking for a partner is, can I get someone that we can connect with first spiritually before you connect even physically?
I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying, because in a way, I remember Ellie, last time you mentioned about compatibility. Can we click? Can we have a conversation? Are we having something that relates to my belief, right? Yeah, I think that's a point that really makes sense. Okay.
Because you see,
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Sorry to cut you off, Pastor. But the exact same thing, exactly what you're saying about you know, for a guy, you know, only boys marry slave queens and men, it's a different level. That's something I can also attest to, because you realize there's such a huge difference between boyhood and like actually saying you're a man. And I remember the whole idea of masculinity and everything, and you realize most people get it wrong early on. especially that whole period of, you know, you're still a boy. I mean, physically you have like a whole man's stature, you know, but mentally you're still in the, like Paul says, you're still in the childhood ways. Is it like ways of the child? Still in a child's ways. And it takes some level of maturity to really grasp the difference, because someone else might be seeing this and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, she's hot, you know, she loves me, or she says she loves me, and we have a good time, the sex is amazing and everything. But then once they get married, that whole like after the wedding, you realize that, one, relationships, just at the bare minimum, it's all about effort. There's going to be a time when you don't necessarily feel like you want to love this person. You're going to have the rough times, you get. But it takes that conviction of a man, as a man, like, you know, you've developed yourself, you've established yourself, to really, really, you know, dedicate and commit to that whole idea of loving the other woman. And for me, the turning point was when someone told me, you know, a boy just looks to, you know, is selfish. You know, you're just looking to have fun, you know, make the most out of it, you know, have as much pleasure or whatever it is you want to call it. But a man, as a man, it's all about leadership and service. Leadership and service. And I remember it was Miles Monroe who said that. TD Jakes as well was saying that. I mean, these are guys I actually look up to, I listen to, and I pay attention to them in that whole aspect of masculinity. So it's, all I can say is there's going to be like a huge difference. There are literally two divides. There's boys and then there's men, you get. And when you say it's literally a man's game, that's what it is, because a man is all about leadership and service. You judge a man by the smile of the woman next to him, not by the empires he's built, or you just the peace that is at his home and everything you get. So there's just two distinct divides. So if you're talking slay queens, you're probably talking to the boys. But if you're talking about, you know, the real queens and establishing relationships that last a lifetime, that, you know, they leave a legacy and your kids have something to look up to in terms of how to interact with the opposite gender as they're growing up and seeing that, you probably, you're talking to, you want to get the men in that conversation. So two very different fields, two very different mindsets, I can say. Yeah. So I completely echo the exact same thing outside of just the church, but even out here in terms of, like, if you really want to develop it, you're going to have to change your mindset. You're going to have to develop it into that aspect of leadership and service. It's no longer about serving your own needs. It's about developing the other person and growing together.
Oh.
Okay, Steve, we distracted you. We kind of chipped in.
Yeah,
so
I was listening in. I mean, those are very powerful sentiments.
So, you boys.
Me?
Not boys. On behalf of men, I graduated from the boys club.
Amen. I'm also graduating. Course, but I'm
hii aeli tunangoja kwanza, hili inafaa tuambie.
Lazima tukule keki.
Soon enough.
But I think also, just to add on what he's saying, which is it's a good conversation we're having. There is the bit of walking in purpose. Boys walk in purpose, men walk in purpose. So, you know, you have to you have to understand. You don't just get married because of peer pressure. Boys do things because of peer pressure. There's a whole notion when it comes even to intimacy in marriage. You know, young men think that when you're single, you'll be having sex every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the whole year, all round, because it's all about their world is fantasy, fallacy. Getting marriage is a reality. You realize it's not what you expect, and I think the whole point is I will blame largely our media today, because it is propelling a wrong perception about marriage and about maturity. Because today you talk to young men about dating, engagement, courtship, no sex, no dinging without the ring, all these things you tell them, but they will always want to tell you something like, you know, utaendeshaje gari kama hujatest machine. So
you need to know what, another thing, you need to know what you're getting into. Yeah, that's there.
And you see the whole thing goes much deeper, because the agenda or the purpose of any relationship in this particular conversation is you want to make decisions that advance, not abort. You know, nobody gets into marriage with the thought of I'm coming out, and I'm seeing that happening today in the US. Some of the states, people are they get married on a lease basis, you know, to understand a contract, 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. Once we are done, part your ways, I go my way. But that's not the deal purpose of God for creating marriage. You know, when you look in the Bible, you realize God is creating. When God is creating Adam, He saw that it was not good, meaning that something was missing. You know, when God talks about it was not good, and then God said, "Let us make a woman for this man." There is something that was missing in that equation. And the moment a boy does not graduate to the place of understanding, when Adam is receiving Eve, Adam was not a child, he was not a small boy, he was a man. Even God understood that in the process of growth, there comes a time when maturity dictates that you will need a partner in your life. So my whole point is that when it comes to marriage and slave queen versus the real queen, slave queen will look like they're winning, but let me tell you the truth, they're always losing, because our media today is portraying them like they're having the best times of their life. Our media I just came from Instagram right now, and I was watching something from our friend, the other guy who's doing 10 wives, the wife material thing. And I just saw something there, and I was like, God have mercy on these kids. Because if you look at how they're portraying themselves, and these are good case study, and I'm using that because it's on public domain. It's on public domain, so I can use that as an example to explain what I want to explain. If you look at how these young girls are packaging themselves, you can clearly deduce and see that these are not wife materials. It's all about sex and drugs. It's about fun, nothing purposeful about it. You know, there is you can't tell me that you are grooming someone for a wife material and all you're doing is whining your waist. We are having a conversation, but you're whining your waist. We are talking about things that are building, but you're thinking of sex. And this is why I'm saying media has led to a greater percentage. Our kids are growing up and they're thinking that for you to get a man, you must dress skimpily, you must show your cleavage, you must show your thighs, you know. So at the end of the day, a genuine boys will go for the thighs, boys will go for those cleavages, because they know at the end of the day they will not have those things. A man will go for a packed stuff. Believe you me. Hakuna mwanaume mwenye amekomaa, a man who is mature will go for these skimpily dressed girls out here.
Though it hurts.
That is the reality.
It hurts. A friend of mine, when I shared the status last week, he told me, to be honest, we love the girls with short skirts, with small dresses. We will buy them alcohol, but we will never marry them. And I'm like, honestly, why do you entertain them? And he's like, that's the sad truth. We cannot.
Let me say why they entertain that. In the last live feed that we did, I mentioned something about men being visual beings.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Men are visual beings. A man does not need a reason to have sex with a woman. A woman must have a reason to have sex with a man.
That's true.
Because a man can go out there and sleep with 10 girls a day. He doesn't feel anything. Once he gets energy back, he can always go and withdraw whatever he has to withdraw from his life. A woman will take a lot of time to process. She needs a reason. She needs to know why. She needs to know when. She has to be prepared psychologically for it. So when a lady passes in front of a man and she's dressed skimpily like that, I mean, she's already telling the man, I'm here, I'm ready. I mean, nimekupunguzia gharama. Hizi nguo ni kidogo sana. Nishapunguza gharama kutoa manguo mingi. So just come and do this thing with tumaze twende. Una understand? So, yeah. So,
ouch, that hurt. Ouch.
No, but we are just being real. I mean, we're just being real. Because let me tell you something. I wouldn't imagine my wife is dressed in a way that all her cleavage is out there for the world. I wouldn't even imagine seeing her in that kind of a state. You know? And every man, every genuine man will always want a packaged stuff, hidden stuff. Because again, men, we pursue, men are hunters. A man is a hunter. A woman is the prey. So what makes a hunter become satisfied that he's a hunter is when he kills the prey. You get it? So when a man is pursuing a girl, and that's why the Bible says a man will leave his father's house and he will find, he who finds a wife, not a girl, not a slave queen, a wife, he who finds, meaning that finding in the rendering of that word is searching. You can't find something unless you search for it. So ideally, a man is a hunter. So if a man comes and finds that there is meat here and it's readily available, ujava bra, ujava panty, ujava nguo mrefu. See, this man says, I'm not hunted. I mean, let me eat the game and go my way. And that's what you're seeing. Is being portrayed in the media today. Young girls are being taught that for you to win men, you must dress skimpily. But the reality is, you're not winning men, you are winning boys. And like Eddie said, it's being a man is not about how big you are, how many biceps you have, how tall you are. Being a man is a state of the mind. And he mentioned something, said leadership and service. Because if you read the book of Ephesians chapter 5, 25, the Bible says, 24, the Bible says that wives must submit to their husbands. Meaning that the man is supposed to be the head of the house. He's supposed to give leadership. So someone can be 40 years, but if his mind does not have the capacity to carry a family or to raise a family, he's still a boy. So how do you know? Jesus said you shall know them by their fruits. You can know a man by how he's leading his own life and how he's leading his own household and how he's treating a woman. I'm telling you the truth. A good woman must be treated well. You see, let me tell you, I am here talking, but I'm looking at my wife here right now.
Ouch.
I am,
yes. Yes, sir.
It is what it is, man.
Sorry.
I'm in my office here. My wife's photos are everywhere. My desk is full of photos.
He who has found a good wife. He who has found a good wife.
She is a queen, and if I have to take care of a queen, she must feel she is a queen. You don't make someone feel a queen and you're making her live like a servant. By the way, so maslay queen wanielewe vizuri, na mkitaka kunipiga mawe nitupieni, nitajijengea foundation. Our generation must understand that if you are dressing skimpily, you are showing a lot of flesh, you are not committed to family values, any man will use you and they will dump you like a bad habit and move to the next culprit.